Have you ever wondered where the limit of human endurance lies? People often say that even a worm will turn if you step on it, but in the cutthroat corporate world of New York, if you just squirm weakly, you'll be crushed instantly. I learned that lesson the painful way, but I also learned something far more important. Revenge is not a dish best served cold. It is a fine wine, aged to perfection. The longer it sits, the richer the taste, the sharper the bite, and the more intoxicating it becomes until it proves fatal to your enemies. Tonight is the night I uncork that bottle. The clock on the wall reads exactly 2:14 a.m. Outside my hotel window, the city of Chicago is deep in slumber. But I am more awake than ever. In my hand is a glass of Merlot, and in front of me sits my iPad Pro, live streaming a scene I have waited 6 long months to witness. On the crisp, high-definition black and white screen of the infrared camera, my old office appears clear as day. 2 shadows are moving around like sneaking rats. A heavy-set man, sweating profusely despite his expensive suit. That's Marcus, the CEO and the nightmare of my existence. The other figure, a slender woman with flowing blonde hair, is holding a flashlight directed at my desk drawer lock. That's Sarah, whom the office calls an angel, but whom I call a viper. They are looking for something. They are raiding my private space while I am away. They think I am at home crying because I've been suspended. They think that tonight they will find the evidence to send me to prison and wipe clean the traces of their embezzlement. I smile softly, swirling the wine in my glass. "Keep looking," I whispered to the screen. "You will find exactly what I want you to find." Let me tell you where this all began. Not last week, but 5 years ago. I joined Raven Media when it was just a tiny advertising firm teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. Marcus hired me then with promises of equity and a bright future. I was a 29-year-old woman full of passion, and I believed him. I worked 16-hour days. I missed my best friend's wedding. I missed dates. I even worked from the hospital waiting room while my mother underwent heart surgery just to meet the deadline for Project Alpha. That project saved the company. It brought in a $5 million contract. And at the celebration party, Marcus stood on the podium. He held up a glass of champagne and boldly declared, "All this success is due to my strategic vision." He didn't mention my name once. When I looked at him with shock, he just winked and whispered as he passed me, "That's how the world works, Elena. You do the labor, I reap the rewards. You are the hands, I am the brain." I wanted to quit right then and there, but my mother needed medication. The salary here, though unworthy of my effort, was still higher than the market average. I gritted my teeth and endured. "Just do your job," I told myself. Then Sarah appeared. 2 years ago, Sarah walked into the office like a breath of fresh air. Young, beautiful, and smooth-talking. She didn't know how to build an Excel spreadsheet. She didn't know how to analyze marketing data. But she knew how to make coffee exactly how Marcus liked it, sweet. She knew how to compliment his ugly ties. At first, I thought she was harmless. I even trained her enthusiastically. But I was wrong to nurse a viper in my bosom. Sarah began to use gaslighting tactics on me. She would accidentally delete my report files before a meeting and tell everyone I had forgotten to do them. She sent emails to clients under my name with rude language, then wiped them from the sent folder. When I complained, everyone looked at me like I was paranoid. "Elena, Sarah is so sweet. Why would she do that? You must be stressed and forgetful lately." The breaking point came 3 months ago. The Green Summer Project. I was managing the budget. While reviewing the month-end figures, I discovered a series of strange invoices. A company called M&S Consulting Services had received a total of $150,000 over the past 6 months for categories like strategic consulting, client entertainment, and market research. But I had never heard of this company. I looked up the tax ID, and guess what? The registered address of M&S matched the address of Marcus's vacation condo in Florida, and the legal owner was Sarah's cousin. A perfect embezzlement ring. Marcus was gutting the company and Sarah was legitimizing the paperwork in exchange for rapid promotion. I, with the remaining naivete of someone who believes in justice, took that file to Marcus. It was a rainy Friday afternoon. I placed the file on his desk. Marcus, you need to explain this money. If the board of directors finds out. Marcus didn't flinch. He leaned back in his chair, lighting a cigar. The smoke blew into my eyes, stinging my eyes. The board won't know, Elena, he said, his voice chillingly calm, because if they find out, the person going to prison will be you. What? I was stunned. Sarah walked out of the restroom in his office, holding another file. Elena, Sarah smiled, a sweet smile with eyes like knives. For the past 6 months, I've used your account to approve these transfers. The digital signature is yours. The computer IP is yours. If this blows up, you are the mastermind and Marcus and I are just victims of negligence. I froze. I realized I had fallen into a trap set long ago. They weren't just greedy, they were cruel. They had chosen me as a scapegoat from the start because they knew I was introverted, had few friends, and only knew how to bury my head in work. Now, Marcus stood up, crushing the half-lit cigar onto the wooden desk. You have 2 choices. 1, keep your mouth shut, continue being my obedient dog, and collect your paycheck. 2, I fire you right now for incompetence, and I ensure you never find a job in this media industry again. I walked out of his office, my hands shaking, not from fear, but from rage. A cold anger spread down my spine. I didn't choose the first option. I didn't choose the second option. I chose the third option, destruction. To defeat a predator, you cannot be prey. You must become a hunter. But a good hunter never shoots when the beast is alert. I started acting. For the next 2 months, I became a broken Elena. I came to work late, I left my hair messy, I even feigned crying in the bathroom so Sarah could hear me. I even feigned mistakes in small reports so Marcus had an excuse to berate me in front of the staff. They began to get complacent. They laughed behind my back. That witch is about to crack, I heard Sarah tell Marcus in the elevator. That's exactly when I made my move. I quietly bought surveillance equipment from a spy shop in the suburbs. Button cameras, micro recorders, and most importantly, an infrared camera with an independent Wi-Fi connection, disguised as a fake smoke detector mounted on the ceiling. I started collecting real evidence, not on the company computer, but live recordings. I recorded Sarah bragging about buying a Hermes bag with company funds. I recorded Marcus calling his wife, lying that he was on a business trip when he was actually gambling with project money. But evidence alone wasn't enough. I needed them to trigger their own sentence. I needed a symbolic trap. Last week, I delivered the final strike. In a staff meeting, I accidentally leaked a piece of information. I know I'm about to be fired, I said with a trembling voice, glancing at Sarah. But I have insurance. I've backed up all original data onto a special hard drive. I call it Pandora's box. I hid it in the safest place in this office. I saw the greedy light in Marcus's eyes light up. He was scared. He knew the original data would prove my digital signature was forged. The next day, I submitted an emergency leave request for 1 week. Reason? My mother is dying. I cleared my desk, took all my belongings, but I left one thing. In the bottom right drawer, the drawer Marcus knew I always locked the tightest, I placed a metal box. Inside the box, I prepared 2 items. 1, a bright red USB drive. 2, an old black leather notebook. Before leaving, I activated the camera system and installed special software on my personal laptop at home, connecting to the company server via a backdoor I had created back when I worked in IT support, a skill Marcus had forgotten I possessed. And now, back to the present moment. On the iPad screen, Marcus is panting. He has just pried open the drawer lock with a screwdriver. Wood chips fall to the floor. Got it, he growls. Here it is. He pulls out the metal box. Sarah leans in, her flashlight beaming. They open the box. "The USB!" Sarah exclaims, snatching the red drive. "This is it, Marcus. She said Pandora's box. It has to be this. Smash it or microwave it." Marcus nods furiously, but then his hand freezes. He sees the black leather notebook lying underneath. Human curiosity is a fatal weakness. Instead of leaving immediately, he picks up the notebook. "What is this? A diary?" he mutters. I zoom the camera in closer. I can clearly see the title I gold stamped on the cover, Criminal Files, dedicated to Marcus and Sarah. "Open it," Sarah urges, her voice starting to sound anxious. Marcus flips to the first page. He reads aloud, his voice beginning to tremble. March 15th, Marcus used the company credit card to pay $5,000 at the Blue Velvet Strip Club. The invoice was altered by Sarah to read Strategic Partner Entertainment. Sarah goes pale. How does she know such details? Marcus flips to the next page. April 20th, Sarah secretly sold the VIP client data list to competitor Blaze Media for $20,000 cash. Transaction took place in parking basement B2 at 6:30 p.m. Video available. "Impossible," Sarah screams, dropping the flashlight. "How does she have video there? There are no cameras there." "Read on," Marcus roars, sweat pouring off him like rain. He flips to the middle of the book. This is the part I dedicated specifically to his family. June 1st, Marcus transferred $50,000 to the account of his mistress named Jessica, under the guise of a modeling contract. Meanwhile, his wife, Rebecca, is selling off jewelry to cover losses for the family company. Marcus drops the notebook on the desk. His hands are shaking as if electrocuted. "Rebecca," he whispers. His wife, Rebecca, is the one who holds 60% of Raven Media shares. She is the daughter of the former chairman. Marcus is just a hired hand favored by his wife. If Rebecca finds out, he won't just lose his job, he will be on the streets. He frantically grabs the red USB. "We have to destroy this. The digital evidence must be in here. If we destroy it, this notebook is just hearsay." Sarah nods. Yes, smash it." The moment Marcus raises the USB to smash it against the desk edge, both of their phones ring simultaneously. The sound of phone ringtones in the silent office at 2 a.m. sounds like a death knell. Marcus looks at his phone screen. Rebecca, wife, calling. At the same time, Sarah looks at her phone. County sheriff, calling. Sarah's uncle, whom she always bragged about. They look at each other, eyes wide with terror. He doesn't understand. He hasn't plugged the USB in yet, so why has everything exploded? This is when I reveal the final secret. In that notebook, on the very last page, I wrote a note, but they were too panicked to read that far. The note reads, "Hello, Marcus. Hello, Sarah. You are making a big mistake. The red USB? It's a fake. I bought it at a flea market for $5. The real trap isn't physical. It's behavioral. I installed a motion sensor inside the drawer. As soon as the drawer was forcibly opened between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m., it triggered an automatic email command from my cloud server. That email contains 50 gigabytes of photos, recordings, and bank statements. It was sent 5 minutes ago, the moment Marcus broke the lock. Recipients: Rebecca, Marcus's wife, the entire board of directors, the IRS, and the FBI Economic Crimes Division. Have a pleasant night." On the screen, I see Marcus answer the phone. I can't hear what the other side is saying, but I see Marcus collapse to the floor, crying miserably. "Listen to me, Rebecca. It's not like that. That witch, Elena, set me up." But it was too late. The sound of police sirens began to wail in the distance, echoing through the tempered glass windows, getting closer and closer. Red and blue lights began to sweep across the dark office. I turn off the iPad, close it, and place it on the table. The wine glass is empty.
I don't need to watch them being handcuffed and led away. That image will be splashed all over the papers tomorrow. The next morning, I received a call from Rebecca. Her voice was tired but firm. She apologized to me on behalf of her husband and invited me back to take over as interim CEO to clean up the mess. I accepted. When I walked into the office the next day, the atmosphere was strange. Marcus's desk was empty. Sarah's belongings were thrown into a cardboard box in the corner. The staff looked at me with a bit of fear, but mostly respect. They knew what had happened. They knew who had taken down the tyrant. I sat in the CEO's chair. It was softer than I imagined. I opened the drawer. The one Marcus had broken last night was now repaired. Inside was empty and clean. I placed a picture of my mother in it. Finally, justice was served. Not by God, nor by the law initially, but by a woman who dared to stand up using the enemy's own greed as a weapon. The lesson for you, listening to this story: never bully the quiet person. Never think silence is weakness. Because when we are silent, we are not sleeping. We are watching. We are recording. And we are planning. And when we strike, you will never see it coming. I am Elena, and this is the story of the sweetest revenge of my life.